Who's heard the term first impressions last? You guys all heard that term. Tonight is very much about first impressions. And really what I want to do is I want to drive this home. I want to have you guys understand exactly what's going on when it comes to creating a first impression for someone. Because when you're talking to someone, when you're talking to a girl, you only see your perspective. You only see what's going on in your tiny little box. What we don't see is the whole big picture. We don't see what's happening from her perspective. We don't see the journey that you're attempting to take her on. Now, the first thing that happens when we see someone, when we see anyone, whether we like it or not, is we categorize them like that. Whether we want to or not, you've looked at me, you've looked at each other, you've looked at the bloke next to you, you looked at the bloke behind you, and you've thought, this is a kind of guy, whatever that is. That's what you've done straight away. It's human conditioning. We do that. We categorize so quickly. And this categorization is not always necessarily correct. And it is far harsher than any of us would like to admit. All right, show of hands, is there anyone in this room who's a sexist bigot? Not one? You sure? A sexist bigot? No? Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. But I'm going to show you why you all are. So, I want to talk to you guys about something that's called an implicit association. Real quick, who wants to sleep with this girl? It's a shame because it's J-Lo. Just as well, that wasn't a real question. We judge very quickly. Straight away, we categorized her one way or another. Both photos give a completely different facade of the same person. Who's heard of an implicit association test? If you've studied psychology, you would have. If you're a complete nerd like me, you would have. Otherwise, you wouldn't have. Now, an implicit association test works like this. You have on the left a category, and you have on the right a category. And down the middle, you've got a bunch of words or images. Now, if you guys were to really quickly, I'll just go backwards. If I were to put up that list, and you were to really quickly, just in your mind's eye, just say to yourself, left, right, left, right, left, try to categorize that list. Does that make sense? So don't say it out loud, just kind of say it to yourself as you go through this list. Right. Not too hard a task, yeah? Your brain can handle that, okay? Great. Now, let's add another layer to this test. The left-hand side is male or career. The right-hand side is female or family. And again, I'm going to press the button. It's going to come a list of categories down the middle. And I want you guys to say to yourselves left or right, left or right, left or right, right? So male or career on the left, female or family on the right. Not that much harder, right? Only slightly, but not much. Still relatively easy to handle. What happens if we do it this way? The terrible thing with this test is that whether you're a guy or a girl, or whether you believe in equal rights or not, our society that we live in still imbues us with what's called an implicit association. That is, it's easier for us to think of a woman and a family-related thing than a woman and a career-related thing, and a man and a career-related thing as opposed. Now, it's a really interesting facet of how humans work. So society works very hard to try to smash these implicit associations, but they take a long time. And even though we're all good guys in this room, we can't help it. And if we had a room full of women, they'd have exactly the same problem. It's not actually a guy versus girl thing. It's exactly the same thing, just the way that we're raised. So that's number one, right? But it doesn't just happen with sex, okay? Try this one. European American and good, or African American or bad. I like this test because it always ruffles feathers. And of course we can try this the other way around. It's the same deal as with the females and career. Now, lest anyone with African American heritage think, well, that's awful, I hate that, let's not forget there are also some implicit associations that work in your favor. Right? What I'm trying to get across, however, What I'm trying to get across, however, is this. You all have like implicit things that can be assumed about you that are good and bad. It's going to be different things for different guys here. Some of you might be short and there'll be an implicit association made about you. Some of you might be like, let's say, really well built and there'll be an implicit association made about you. Someone might be, insert race here, and they'll straight away associate a meaning, like what people of that race, people think that those people are like. Everybody does it. And why do I kind of bring this up? I bring this up because I want to drive home this idea that you are going to be assessed straight away, real quick. And one of the things I want to make clear is, one of the things we want to know is, what about us do people assume very quickly? We've all got it, good and bad. I know for sure there are people in this room who have assumed something bad about me. And there are people in this room who have assumed something good about me. But you've got to know what that is for you. And the reason is this. Whatever the stereotype that you want to break, the key, if that's something that you feel particularly vulnerable to, the key is to break that stereotype as quickly as possible. So if you see an object and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, what do you instantly assume it definitely is? A duck. Okay? And that's the thing. If you come in and you start doing a number of things that confirm what people already believe, the implicit association they've already made about you, bam, you're locked in. It's really hard to change. This is this implicit association stuff. Is everyone on board with me here? Yes. Interesting stuff. I'm a big geek, so I really get off on this. Another thing you need to be aware of is confirmation bias. Who's heard of that before? Good. A number of you. XSOA guys. Of course. Okay, confirmation bias. When I vote, if I won't get a show of hands, we get a number of people here who voted Liberal generally, and a number of people here vote Labour generally. If you vote Liberal, you have this incredible ability to see the good stuff that Liberal does. There seems to be less and less of it these days, but it doesn't matter. They seem to see the good stuff that Liberal does and see the bad stuff that Labour does, but they seem to gloss over the bad stuff that Liberal does. They don't seem to absorb it, and they don't really absorb the good stuff that Labour does. When we make an assumption about something, we get what's called a confirmation bias. It's a blinkering effect. And it's very healthy. We've got to have it. We've got to have this categorization, blinking effect. If you think, I walk into this room and there's a seat, I must assume it's a seat. And if you walked into every room with a chair in it and you went like this to make sure it was really a chair and kind of tested it out for chair properties, you'd never get through life. So you have to do that. And confirmation bias means that a first impression made about you, they are blinkered, not just a woman, anyone, is now blinkered to anything you do to the contrary of what you've initially made them think about you. Now, anyone who's worked with me before will attest to this fact. If you approach a woman, you go and talk to her, and the way that you initially open her is really bad or average. Is it or is it not like nailing shit to a wall? It is impossible. It is so tough. The whole way through, you're struggling to hold her attention. The whole way through, you're struggling to make something of the interaction, and it's awkward, and it's shitty, and it's difficult, and it's painful, and you walk away like, man, I'm a social retard. If you like literally the first 5 seconds, if you get that right and you do that really well, it's like you've created this wave and you just have to surf the wave and not fall off. It's a completely different experience because what you've done is you've created this massive first impression.
Hey guys, do you get frustrated approaching women and then getting rejected? I'd like to invite you to my free 12-video training series where I'm going to show you how to make such an amazing first impression before you even say a word that rejection will soon become a thing of the past. See that button down there? Don't procrastinate anymore. Go ahead and click on it, and I look forward to working with you.